So good afternoon. My name is Ryan Patry, and I have the privilege of being the principal at Elm Street School. This is my third year, and I feel a lot more competent and confident about these numbers and what they represent, as well as I feel a lot more confident about what the needs are at Elm Street School. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you coming today to learn a little bit more about Elm Street School and the budget that I'm going to discuss with you. So overall, there aren't many changes, but we are here today to talk a little bit about our population, the specific budget line items, as well as any specifics related to $1,500 more or less. So overall, we have 296 students at Elm Street School. I factored in an average class size without the specialist teachers. So an average class size of 19.7, but when you add in the music, art, and phys ed, it drops significantly lower to 17.2. But this is a typical grade level class size where the kids are most of the time. We have 61 students who require special education services under an IEP. And like Holly mentioned, that's a continuum of needs from speech to consult to we have an applied academics program and a behavior program. So it kind of depends. Every child is different and unique and special. So we also have a 53% free and reduced lunch rate, which is the same as PCS. We have 15 regular ed classroom teachers. We have 2 Title I teachers. Title I is a program that serves students who are not quite meeting grade level standards, but have the capacity to meet grade level standards with some small group or direct instruction. So we have a math and a literacy Title I teacher. We have 1.5 specialists that I share with Minot and Whittier. We have 3 special ed teachers, and Holly mentioned 1 position is currently unfilled. We have a halftime school counselor that we share with Minot. I have a halftime social worker I share with the high school, and I have a 6/10 gifted and talented teacher that I share with Minot. We have 12 special ed techs. Actually, I think that's our total ed techs. I don't think they're all special ed. That's way too high. We only have like 7 special ed techs. So I think I have a total of 12 ed techs. I apologize for that. We actually have a halftime pre-K ed tech this year due to our declined enrollment. And you'll notice when I present the numbers that part of why the pre-K budget is a little bit higher is we're expecting that staff member to return to Elm Street School next year. We also have 2 Title I ed techs, and we have a librarian ed tech and myself. So starting with regular instruction, once again, all of the decreases are misleading due to all the variables as far as contingency, insurance, retirement costs. So even though everything looks down, it's not. It's just there's a lot of contingencies that haven't been factored into this budget yet. But we did talk about a decrease in supplies, 3 to 6. We did talk about shifting the textbook line to central office so that we can streamline our new curriculum. We talked about decreasing the dues and fees and travel for professional development. And once again, all of the professional development is going to be streamlined with central office. So when a teacher requests to go to a conference, it will go through a form. And we as a team will consider our priorities for our school and for our district before we approve those conferences for teachers. So like Rick said, it takes the decision-making off of us, and it becomes a shared leadership decision where we look at our priorities and work together to decide which professional development opportunities our teachers have. Also, we will still have our Wednesday professional development schedule. We have an extra workshop day built into the calendar for next year. So there's going to be a lot of internal professional development that will continue to exist. And there's a lot of research that shows that the best professional development comes from within when it's your teachers working on their data and looking at their students and what their needs are, as opposed to like those sit and get sessions where you go somewhere and listen to someone one time, and then you try to bring it back to your school. So I'm really excited about that shift in professional development going to the central office. Any questions about 3 to 6? Okay. K to 2, once again, a decrease in travel, professional development, a decrease in supplies. The textbook line has been shifted, and the dues and fees has been shifted, and that's the professional development. So there's no real change in K to 2 instruction. For pre-K, I mentioned that we're expecting our ed tech to return, who took a year sabbatical or leave of absence. I'm not sure what you call it, but we are expecting them to return, and we are hoping to have an increase in enrollment and a need for a full-time ed tech at Elm Street School for next year. So hopefully we fill up all of our slots. And then there's a decrease in supplies for pre-K and a decrease in textbooks for pre-K. Under guidance, it appears that there's been a benefit change, which is the only change in guidance. Under the library, we talked about decreasing from $15 per student down to $10 per student. So there's a decrease in the library budget. And overall, and I mentioned we're not counting any of the contingencies. It looks like a decrease of $15,000 at Elm Street School. However, that's not the reality. Once insurance is factored, salaries and benefits is factored, as well as my next slide. So the next slide just kind of summarizes all of our cuts overall, and that adds up to the amount of $15,000 on the previous page.
And one of the things I'll add is, Ryan's saying it's not an actual decrease. The lines that are decreased, the ones he has control over. It's just, when I say, we talked about this, is you don't want people to think our overall budget is decreasing, because clearly that's
not the case.
Not the case. But certainly the lines that you've shared are actual decreases in most cases.
I do have one quick, back on the guidance, is the 15% less than $1,000 like Rick used for his formula, why he doesn't show an actual value there?
It's not more than $1,500, no.
It's not
the
more
change
than
is not more
$1,500,
than
okay.
$1,500, correct. And then I did have some needs and wants for Elm Street School. One of them is a full-time first grade teacher, because our kindergarten classes are 23 and 22. And with that additional teacher, it would lower the class to about 16 and 15. That we did mention that would come out of a class size reduction grant, which would come out of Title II. So it wouldn't necessarily be a change to the Elm Street School budget, but it is a need that we have. And we also have a social worker who has a caseload of 25 students, and I only have her 0.5. So it would be great to have additional social work services at Elm Street School, but that's just a need that I have.
What is the dollar amount of that social worker? What does that equate to, that half-time?
So
teaching, they're under like a teaching contract. Am I correct on that? Yeah. About for that amount. So we usually budget about $50,000 for a new teacher, because if it's somebody who comes in with no experience, they'll be paid around $32,000. But if they need insurance, which most do, it gives you room to have an adult with child, which is a typical insurance that people take. If they come in, with experience and they need insurance, it can be higher than that. They didn't need insurance, it could be lower.
Are we contracting out with like community options? Or
so
like,
I know. So in some schools we have outside services being offered in the building, and I know Ryan is looking into that option for Elm Street School. He had a meeting just a week or two ago
with Pathways, yes,
to try to do something like that. That can make a big difference in providing services for no additional cost to the district.
Does anyone have any questions about the Elm Street School budget?
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.